Hello, everyone. I believe we are live. I believe I can be heard. Everything's rolling. Please do use emojis and messages if anything seems to not be going quite right on the stream. But otherwise, welcome to this, our latest We're Hiring event. Today, we're going to be sitting down and talking to the individuals over at the studio Rare. My name is Jonas. I'm the community and events lead over at Intergames. We're an organization that works to improve social mobility for everyone in the games industry. It's free events like this, it's resources being made available, it's demystification of the games industry that we try and sort of provide to try and make the games industry just more accessible to you without high costs, without barriers, etc. There are lots of different ways you can get involved, but one of those ways is actually just to join our Discord. So there's a little link down in the YouTube description at the moment. By joining that Discord, you'll be able to find out about events like this. You'll be able to get into conversations with UK games developers. You'll be able to get insights into all sorts. And in fact, today as well, by joining the Discord, you'll be able to take part in the Q&A that we'll be doing after this event. So just so you're aware, if you're watching this now, if you ask any questions into the YouTube chat, we will not be answering them during the stream. This stream today will be very focused on asking a very specific group of people very specific questions and kind of chatting about the roles in the studios. But if you have your own questions once we're finished, jumping into the Intergames Discord will give you access to some very specific channels, and those channels include Rare Q&A, Rare General, and Rare Apply Here. Join those channels, you can ask all of your questions there, and the Rare team are in our Discord ready to answer them once the stream ends. So today's event is basically to just kind of let you know everything you need to know about the internships that are coming up at Rare. There are 5 in particular positions, and we've got some of the team from Rare here to talk about what those positions are. We've got some of the interns who have actually done the role in the past or applied for this very internship in the past, to basically just kind of tell you everything that they know, and give you a lot more insight about who Rare are as a studio, very famously working on Sea of Thieves, as well as some up-and-coming IPs that you can get, that you can sort of get excited for. Maybe even by getting your foot in the door, you'll get to know the trade secrets of something before it comes out. Now, I think that's everything I've got to say in advance. You all know about the Discord. You all know about the event. So with that said, we're going to be hearing from sort of Rare's first representative, who is V Heath. V is the diversity and inclusion lead over at Rare. V will say hello. We'll do a sort of a presentation, a little bit about the studio and bits. And then we'll get going with the panel and the questions. So first off, let's say hello to V. V, hello. How's it going?
Hello, Jonas. I'm good. How are you?
I'm chilly, thank you very much. It's the cold time here in the UK, but I've had my heating on full blast, and now actually I'm sort of dual wielding hot and cold in equal parts. So, V, you've got a presentation that you'd like to share, so I'm going to give that presentation to you there. I'm going to put you up here, and V, basically, the floor's yours.
Thank you so much, Jonas, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. I'm really pleased to be with you again this year, just to give you a little bit of an introduction into who we are at Rare and what our internships are all about. So as Jonas very kindly introduced myself, I am V. I am Rare's diversity and inclusion lead. So my role is all about making people happier at work, making people feel represented and seen, and to do events like this with all of you. So let's kick off. So who is Rare? Hopefully a lot of you on the chat will know who Rare are. Definitely post some of your favorite games if you are a Rare fan. We have been making games for 39 years. It's actually our 40th anniversary next year. I grew up playing Rare games. A lot of people that work at Rare did the same thing. A lot of people that work at Rare that have been there since the very beginning. We are based in a little place called Tycross in the UK. We are in the middle of nowhere, the countryside. We have about, I'm told it's about 98 or 99 acres of countryside. It really is a beautiful place to work. We have 280 people roundabout, it might be a little bit more now, that work at the studio. We are known as an Xbox game studio. So in case you weren't aware, this means we are part of a global network of game studios. And it's nice because it means we're part of this big family of game studios making games. So, you know, I work with a lot of people across Xbox on D&I, and it's great to have that network of game developers available. So we have a rich history of game titles, as I've already mentioned. My particular favorite is Viva Pinata. If you haven't played that game and you love cozy games, I'm giving you your Christmas game to play because it is peak cozy game in Viva Pinata. So our internship scheme, why you're all here today. So this is a 1-year placement. And when I say placement, it is a fully paid job in the games industry. You will be getting first-hand experience building and making games at Rare alongside experienced game developers. You are part of the ship, part of the crew. You're not going to be making cups of tea, though you might want to make a cup of tea every now and again, or making photocopies, though who really does that anymore? This is aimed at this. I can actually scratch this out. This is actually aimed at students, graduates, and beyond that. So if you have a real interest in making games in your spare time, you know, maybe you might be doing a different job, like a sort of full-time role somewhere else, and you want to get into games and you've been studying it in your spare time, this role could be for you. We are open to the experience that can come in, but really it's aimed at those who haven't had an opportunity within gaming before. We want to give someone their first real opportunity in the games industry. So the internships for 2024, we have a 3D marketing artist internship this year. This is a new internship for us, I believe. We'll go into a little bit more detail on the panel. We also have a software engineering role, a rendering engineering role, a gameplay engineering role, and a technical animation engineering role. And if you're looking at these and thinking, oh my goodness, they all sound, you know, what's sort of the difference between these? We'll go into some specifics on the panel. So if you think that you may be good for, you know, if you're studying engineering and you think, I'm not sure which one I should go for, do stick around and get some more details from our panel. The closing date is the 5th of January. You have less than a month to get your application in. Please do double check your application before you send it. If you're working on something special for your portfolio or your CV, get working on it, get us to us in good time. Please don't wait until the 5th of Jan to submit, as it will close on that date. But that's it from me. I didn't want to take up too much time. So we can move on to our panels. We have some great folks with you here today to talk about their experience. But thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Well, V, before you go, just really quickly, you've been at the studio for a decent amount of time now, so you will have had a full breadth of experience with it. Just really quickly from you, what do you love about the studio? What do you love about working for Rare? It'd be really lovely to hear from you.
So 2 things for me. The dogs, first off, we are allowed dogs in the studio, which is the best thing ever. But also I get to work with people that genuinely love what they do every single day. I'm surrounded by intelligent, creative, enthusiastic people, and it makes such a world of difference coming into work every day. It's great.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds really great. Thank you very much, V, for all that. V, we're going to welcome you back later, but for now, we're going to do a bit of a quick transition. It's going to be seamless. No one's even going to notice me as I totally go through a list of people and make sure that I've got all of them on the screen. So I'm going to grab people as I've got their names in front of me. We're going to have a Liv, we're going to have a Michelle, we're going to have a Sam, and we're going to have a Tom. Hello to the 5 of you. So what what we're going to be doing, everyone, just in case you're watching, is we're going to hear from some of the past and present interns at Rare. So I read their names out loud. We've got Liv, who is a character rigger. We've got Michelle, who is a VFX intern. We've got Tom, who is a live services intern. We've got Sam, who is an engine intern. And I'm sure it's not the engine of a car. I'm sure there's more to it than that. So what I'd love for you guys to do is one by one. I think you're all in the same order on the screen. This isn't like other meeting platforms where it's always a bit of a mishmash. So starting to my left, my right, Liv, starting with you. If you'd just like to introduce yourself, tell us a bit like who you are, and what do you do at Rare.
So I'm Liv Schmidt, and as Judith said, I'm a character rigger, and that basically means that I work on placing puppets into all of the models that go into the game. I work on both Sea of Thieves and on Everworld, and I do very scary things like skinning and unparenting things, which is always very fun to say when I have to kind of summarize what I do. But yeah, and that's pretty much me.
Fantastic. Over to you, Michelle.
So yeah, as I was already introduced, I'm the VFX intern, and the main thing that I do is like making explosions, making shiny stuff. So like anything that, like a cannon muzzle, like when you shoot it out and you see all the smoke and you see all the sparks, that's what I do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Michelle. Over to you, Tom.
Hello. Mainly, it's a bit less glamorous, but maintaining and adding new features to the services sort of behind the scenes that keep Sea of Thieves running. Working mainly in C#, but adding stuff gameplay side and C++ as well.
Fantastic. And then finally, last but not least, Sam.
Cool. Yeah, I basically make sure Michelle's VFX don't break the game, slow down the frame rate, all that. And yeah, we're a core tech team. So that means we sort of work on all the projects we're working on. We're not working on like a specific game at a time. We're just supporting all the technology we have. We're Unreal Engine experts, and yeah, we make sure our games are running very performant, very secure. We cover networking as well. And yeah, I think that's the gist.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, everyone. So I've got sort of like a list of questions that we're going to go through, and what I'll do for each of these questions is we'll sort of go round the room and round the room and round the room over and over. And if we're running out of time, but there's some really important questions, we can sort of pick out some people to answer the questions. So the first thing I'd love to know is based on the fact that you're all either current interns or recent interns, you presumably have still quite a fresh relationship with the games industry. So I'd love to know a little bit about what your path in was. How did you go from not working at Rare to working at Rare, for example? So Sam, I'm going to come back around and start with you, and I'll kind of go in reverse order. Sam, what was your path into what you do now?
Cool. Yeah. So my career, I guess, kind of my programming career started back in high school. I grew up in New York City and went to high school there. Did like an AP computer science class, which is sort of like an A-level computer science class in the UK, I believe. Learned Java, and then in the post we had like a year afterwards to sort of do whatever we wanted. So then I started to learn like C++ and how to make video games and how to render 3D things on screens and all of that. And then that ultimately led to a journey in Scotland where I went to university in Abertay, Dundee, which is a sort of very well known in the industry for its very good gaming courses, and studied computer games technology and learned pretty much everything I need to know for this job there, and made me a great candidate, I guess, because I'm here. So,
and,
yeah.
and Sam, quickly before you move on, did you see this event in the past as well? Like
I sure did. Yeah, I was here last year watching on YouTube with like at least 500 other people. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
system works.
It does work.
Really glad to hear it. I will ask everyone that question.
Yeah.
I will ask everyone that question at the end. But I'll move around now to you, Tom. What was your path into the games industry and into Rare?
It started off like way back in like early secondary school. It was just in I ended up spending more time making mods for and changing games that I enjoyed than actually playing them. So that definitely kickstarted, like, okay, I want to do something with computers, because at that point I didn't realize I could actually make games. um, so went into did a computer science A level, and then at that point realized, oh wait, this is a real thing. I'm gonna go to University of Portsmouth, down south, opposite side of the country to south, and do computer games technology there, where I'm current. And then while I'm doing that, applied to Rare for my placement year, and ended up here, luckily. Yay.
Fantastic stuff. And was that placement year, was that related to this event last year as well, or was that something quite different?
It wasn't related to this event, but I wish I'd seen it, because that would have made applying a lot less stressful.
Well, you're here now, so something's
Yeah.
something's gone right. You never know. Thank you so much for answering that. I'm going to come over to you now, Michelle.
So, I actually, this is going to sound very cliche, but from a young age, I always loved art. I loved drawing. Like, that's all I do all day, every day. And as you can guess, or maybe not, my favorite subject in school was art, of course. So that's what I did for like most of my school journey. And then when it was time to sort of like either do A levels or college, I saw that, oh, I can, I can do something digital. I can do computer graphics or like 2D animation, something like that. So I went to college for motion graphics, and that's what I did. Um, but I sort of focused on more traditional skills, sort of like painting in Photoshop, doing some concept art, doing some 2D animation. And eventually that's like what I went to uni with. So I went to the University of Hertfordshire and I joined their concept art course. And midway through first year, which is sort of like what we did, is everybody on like you were either doing 3D or like you were animating, you were like doing a bunch of stuff um, across different mediums. And they were like essentially they're like letting you try stuff in first year. And then midway through my first year, I realized games sound kind of cool. Games are very interesting. So I switched in my first year, and it was tough because I had no 3D background, but you know we got through it. Um, and sort of like midway through second year, no way, I realized that game VFX was a thing. I thought it was really cool, sort of like using Niagara or like messing with the shaders. I thought like that really excited me, so that's what I stuck with. And then I saw Rare had a posting, in my last year, and I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. It sounds great. And now I'm here.
Congratulations. And yeah, really glad to hear that all kind of worked out. And I can see that other people from University of Hertfordshire they're all bigging you up in the chat as well. So hello everyone. Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much. And then we're going to come over to you, Liv. What was your path? From not from birth, but you get the idea, right? From a start to where you are now.
So it's quite similar to Michelle's, where I loved drawing when I was a kid and just kind of got into it then. And then I was like, I like games, and I was like, I want to do both of those things somehow. And so during A levels, for my EPQ, I did try to do some modeling, and it went very bad. It wasn't very good. I look back at it now, and I'm like, Jesus, that was a rough one that I did there, trying to model myself. But then I went on to do concept art at the beginning, so I did some 3D, try and see maybe I will like something else. But initially, I wanted to do concept art, and so like Sam, I went to Abertay in Scotland, and it's a course that provided me with all of the subjects relating to art, so I could do animation and modeling and kind of concept art, so I could cover all of the bases. And I did not know that a thing like rigging existed before university, or even before I had to do it. It was shoved on me during a group project for a game in I think maybe the first year, maybe second year even. And I realized I actually really, really enjoy it, and it's really fun. So then I decided to take that path of doing animation and like the rigging at Aberdeen Uni, and decided to focus on that in my 4th year. And so when it was Christmas time of my 4th year, and I'm looking online, I'm like, rigging internships, rigging jobs, junior, please give me something. And I found Rare, but it was under a technical animator title. And then just in the description, it was the word rigging. So thankfully it got picked up by Google, and I was like, okay, great. So they like that. They recognize rigging as a thing to be able to do for an internship, which not a lot of places did. There were like rigging jobs, but rigging internships were a lot harder to find. And so that's why I'm here now. It went very well.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks everyone for sort of sharing your stories and your paths here. I could drill more into all of those comments, but we will move on with the questions because time's a ticking. So I'm going to come back around. So I'm going to, again, you'll get used to this, but I'm going to snake back around, starting with you, Liv. I want everyone to sort of think a little bit about when they first started. What do they wish they knew, or if they could go back and kind of give themselves some advice pre-application or, pre-first day. What is some advice that you would give to yourself or to someone else looking to intern at Rare? Liv, go for it.
I think for the application part, to just try and get all of the key details of what sells you the most is really important, and kind of having that on the page. So really what applies to the position that you're looking for, and being comfortable in stating the things that you're actually putting down. And then when it comes to the interview process, I say this every time to like anyone that has an interview. I'm like, it's just a conversation where you can discuss something that you're passionate about. And if you treat it like that, it will go very well, because it's something that you're confident in, that you're comfortable in talking about, and that you can really shine. So then you're not really as scared and bothered, and just be like, oh, this is a cool time for me to meet someone new and for me to make a connection, and kind of take that as like the biggest thing, because even on the off chance that it doesn't work out, you've still got that connection there and you've still made that effort. But yeah, the biggest thing is just kind of really taking it like it's a fun thing, and trying your hardest to like put away the nerves of that kind of big talk that you're very scared, especially if it's a place like Rare, where I know that people are really looking forward to getting into, because people have a history with Rare. At least my friends from uni, they quite a lot of them are into it. So because they kind of big it up, and they're like, this is very scary, but you just have to kind of take it as like something that's really exciting, and it's just making a friend, basically, like in the simplest way possible.
Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much. Michelle, I'm going to come over to you now. Advice you would give?
Mine would be quite similar to Liv's, in the sense where, like, don't be sort of too perfectionist about either like your portfolio or like anything that you sent through the application, or even your interview itself. Like, what matters the most is being honest with whoever hires you. And because it's an internship, like, if you show that, yes, I'm not very good at a particular skill, but I'm actively trying to improve and I really enjoy doing this, like, I think Rare would appreciate that more than you being an expert immediately, straight away. Like, you just don't be too, just to summarize, don't be too perfectionist about your portfolio. Just submit sorry. And again, like Liv said, on the chance that it doesn't work out, you tried and you have that connection, and you can just tell yourself, like, I tried my best, move on to the next thing.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much for the advice, Michelle. Tom, you're up.
I'd say what's pretty important is don't be afraid to get sort of technical on either a blog you're submitting or your portfolio. Whereas like making games is cool, and it's easy to just be like, here's all the games that I've made, or well, the games that I've worked on. It gives your potential future employer a lot more to go off if you like nerd out about certain parts, or show off specific parts of them that you worked on and you're proud of. that you really enjoyed doing?
Thank you very much, Tom. And then, last but not least, once again, Sam.
Yeah, I'd say looking back, I mean, I think one of the reasons why my application went so well was because I made sure that everything I sort of had in my resume was sort of different from like my peers at college, at university. And I think that's very important because these are very competitive positions, right? And so if everybody from Abertay or everybody from Portsmouth or wherever you're studying gets wind of this and tries to like submit all their projects and they're all in the same course, then yeah, like let's say everyone's making a Mario clone. Well, what we're going to see on the other side of that is a bunch of Mario clones with very similar code if you're just copying sort of what the lecturers are teaching you and just putting it in your project. Like you got to, I think, innovate a little bit and just add a bit more and talk about that and really show that like, look, yeah, we all had to make this Mario themed project or whatever, but I added a rope swing mechanic. I added all these things. Just you got to stand out. And it is hard and it is very competitive, but just be proud of whatever you submit. And I mean, like every step of the way through the application process, like each interview I got to, I was like, honestly, I'd be very happy if I just like didn't get in, but I you know, just was just happy with like how far I got. The fact that I even got to talk to people in the industry at all was just really fun, exciting. They're very lovely people. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You're now part of those very lovely people. That's how it works. No, thank you very much for that, Sam. Appreciate it. And hopefully lots of good advice there for people who are maybe sitting on their CVs and their portfolios and not really sure sort of what to do before submitting. So just looking at the time, yeah, I think one thing I'd love to do is I'd love to just understand a little bit about you guys have been doing your roles now for either the best part of the year or you've at least all done a full day, and that's exactly what I'm going to ask you about. Is I'm going to ask you about a day in the life of you. So just thinking about like what's it like when you come into the office, when you sit down, or when you log in, and what are your kind of daily tasks like. And just start to think a little bit about what is a good day or a normal day for you, just so that people can kind of really understand what it is that they're signing up for. So coming back round, Sam, you get to go first. What's a day in the life of Engine Intern Sam?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, yeah, basically I've got some work I'm doing. Surprise. Like they said, but like we said before, like you are a member of the team. So I am doing work that other software engineers could be doing as well. And yeah, some of that work is like supporting the gameplay teams with things they need. Um, and yeah, I'm basically yeah like taking usually what happens, and I like to try and do this. And I think it's like sort of like what a good junior engineer would do. It's you're given a problem, you go away, you solve that problem or try to solve that problem. Now you're probably going to run into some problems, bang your head against the desk a few times, and then you can just ask for help, and everybody around me, I'm like someone sitting here or just across from me, they'll be able to like just be like, yo, I got you, here's how you do it. So yeah, basically just sit down, code, get the free lunch and code more. I play Mario Kart after lunch every day as well, which is fun. But yeah, just a lot of coding.
Sam,
Surprise.
who do you play in
Yeah.
Mario Kart? Just off the top of your head.
Well, so Tom can talk more about this, but Tom's modded their Switch, right? So I actually play as Sonic the Hedgehog and I'm running instead of being on a bike. It's so fun.
I didn't know I was going to open a can of worms here. I was expecting King Boo, and then I could say great choice, and we'd move on. That's a lot of fun. Tom, what is a day in the life of live services intern Tom like?
Well, mainly, well, it varies a lot. I'm kind of all over the place because there's a lot of services that run the game, and things are cropping up all the time. Like people are like, oh, we need this, or this has stopped working. So it's balancing like working together with other engineers on my team to design new features like from the ground up, like stood in a room with whiteboards and everything. And just working together to solve problems, and then just writing, actually making them happen, implementing them in the game, iterating on them, and then eventually pushing them out to real players, which is really cool. And then in the middle of all that, have lunch and beach sand at America.
Wonderful stuff. And then I'm going to come around to you, Michelle. A day in the life of.
So what Sam and Tom unfortunately mentioned to neglect was that not only do we play Mario Kart, we also play Smash. And you know, there's some very interesting character choices. I personally play Kirby because who doesn't want to play as a pink ball? But yes, let's go. But it's well, I feel like as a VFX intern, a lot of the things that I do, like I come in, and again, obviously I do work, but it's sort of like trying to work with making sure that like I consider both technical and artistic aspects of VFX. So yes, I can like get the most beautiful, most detailed concept art, but at the end of the day is looking at it and deciding, is this realistic? Can we actually turn it into an effect that is not going to make the game burn and explode, but also make it as artistically beautiful as possible? And this is sort of like there's like a balancing act in that. But I do work with quite few departments as well, sort of like because VFX comes most time at the end of any like modeling, texturing, all those processes, we kind of come at the end or very near the end. Oftentimes that sort of need help with, I need to start earlier on an effect, but I still don't have an asset. So maybe I'm going to ask some of the asset, like the modelers, to give me something so I can work on as a placeholder and then get the final thing. Or even like we're VFX, but we also work with tech art a lot. They're two separate things at Rare, but we work very closely, like I mentioned. So something that's a bit more on the technical rather than artistic side, I would get someone on tech art to help me. So there's like quite a lot of collaboration as well.
Fantastic stuff. Really lovely to hear. And then last, again, I'm going to say this way too much. Last but not least, Liv.
So for me, I do not play Smash or Mario because I suck at them. So I therefore just decide to not embarrass myself that way. So I'm so sorry. I just had to preface with that. But I log in or I come into the office and I work hybrid. So I'm in the office like twice a week and the rest work from home. But when I come in, I check over usually what tasks I kind of have to do or what tasks I have. We've got a board of everything going on, and I see whether I was working on something else or I need to kind of start on something new. We have a meeting at around 10 a.m. I think it is, with my rigging team, which is only 2 other riggers. We kind of discuss what it is that we are each doing and any issues or questions or queries that we had from the day before that we can kind of follow on into the rest of the day. And it's usually either working on a new rig, and it'll be either I am skinning for that day, or I am building the rig itself for the day, or I am like finishing off anything else from the rig that needs to be tidied up. And it'll kind of like my tasks take the whole day. I will have to take the whole day to finish that off, and then that'll be me. So I do either the rig building or I work on cloth, which is kind of what I've been doing for the past year. When I was an intern, though, I think I started like in 2022. When I was an intern, I worked on Sea of Thieves predominantly because it was established, and I just did like skinning fixes. So I came in and did skinning fixes and ask a bunch of questions constantly, because that is the best thing to do as your intern, is just ask any way you can, just ask questions. But then as I continue doing well in that kind of those tasks, I moved on to working on Everward, which is still being built as a kind of like the process of what we're doing. And it's been fun to kind of be in such a area where it's like I can see how it's being built from the ground up kind of thing, and being so integral to kind of building that pipeline for the rigging team especially. So yeah, and if I help animation or character art with any kind of problems that they encounter regarding rigs, or any help that they need in terms of pieces of code, that will help them. So yeah, that's me. That's what I do.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, everyone. So we've talked a little bit about what the roles are. We've talked a little bit about your path into Rare, a little bit about giving advice as well, and then just sort of a day in the life of everyone here. Now, just because time's coming up on us and we've got a whole new group of people to talk to, we're going to bring this section of the conversation to a close. So first off, just a huge thank you to all four of you, Liv, Michelle, Tom, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for sharing sort of a little bit of your lives, your professional lives with us, and your habits when it comes to playing Smash Bros and Mario Kart. Really appreciate it. Just a keynote as well, if you're watching this, audience member, you here in the present now, if you're watching this live, again, just a reminder, I can see that there's loads of really great questions coming in through the chat and you're all keen to sort of start conversations about the things you've heard. Jump into the Intergames Discord, because once this live stream ends, we're going to do sort of a text-only Q&A where you can ask all your questions in the text chat, and not only the members of the panel here, but some other members of staff over at Rare as well, and the team we're about to talk to. All of them are in the Discord, ready to read and answer your questions. So if you want to ask very specific questions about what you've heard, please, Intergames Discord. I've just added a second link down there because I saw someone saying the link didn't work for them. That's how much I care. Please do jump into the Discord and join the Q&A through our text channels. Now, I'm going to do, again, this is going to be seamless. So to all of you, Liv, Michelle, Tom, Sam, thank you again. But bye-bye. I'm going to have to remove you all from the stage. Bye, bye-bye. Yeah, you all get a moment to wave. Okay, right, I'm removing all of you. You're all done. And we're going to bring on our second sort of cohort of panels. So we're going to have a Simon, we're going to have a Chris, we're going to have a Keith, and we're going to have a V. Welcome back, V. You're all up here. Wonderful. Excellent stuff. So we're going to be talking to you guys. You are more associated with the sort of the hiring. You're more senior. You know what's going on with these internships. You know what's going on with all the roles. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But firstly, before we talk about the internships and roles, let's just get a little bit of a picture of who you are. So again, I'm going to use the exact same system where I'm just going to pick the person next to me and snake around. So Simon, would you like to introduce yourself first, please?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Simon. I'm a principal technical animator at Rare. Been here, I think, about 4-ish years and spent a lot of time in indie game development before that. My sort of role within the company is working with essentially anything that moves, but specifically more like characters, playable characters or AI, and getting animations functioning with that. My sort of main interest within that is within procedural animation, so things like slope alignment and how we make creatures actually feel grounded and part of the world, like they should be there. Yeah, just interested in anything animation, really.
Oh, I was muted, but thank you very much there, Simon. And then we're going to move on to Chris in the far corner.
Yeah, hello. So I'm a AI programmer in the gameplay engineering team. So obviously gaming, the gameplay team is all the player-facing features, how the character controls, any kind of things you're interacting in the world. Obviously, I'm then specifically looking at the AI, so the non-player characters of the game, and I work very closely between kind of design and animation, do quite a bit of work with Simon on bringing characters to life and giving them little brains so that they can do their thing in the game.
Thank you very much for going through that with me. And then snaking around, if I can follow the path now, I'm very visual with these sorts of things. Next up, we've got V. So you spoke a little bit earlier, but you want to just talk a little bit about what your role is as well.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, I'm V. I work in the people and culture team at Rare. So much like any business, games also needs HR, they need payroll, they need business operations, they need facilities. We have all of those functions as well. So I am part of that side of things. So I work with our managers, I work with leaders across the business to ensure that we're being inclusive, that we're also always sort of looking at ways that we could do better. I work with communities at Rare. So we have a Pride group. We have a Rare women's group at Rare. We also have a neurodiversity group. We also have a newly formed expats at Rare group as well, so folks moving from different countries into the UK. And I work with all those fabulous communities to just ensure that, you know, they're being supported and seen as well as everyone else.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, V. And then at the end there, with the Pikachu on the shoulder, Keith, hello.
Hello. Yes, I'm Keith, and a little bit about me would be I was the last rendering intern all the way back in 2015, but I'm still here having a great time. Where I actually work, my role is kind of an odd one. I'm somewhere in between the rendering and engine teams, so I do a lot of work with Sam, and then also a lot of work with our lovely rendering team, making some awesome stuff for VFX artists like Michelle. But yeah, I'm typically all over the place. Do lots of different things. Like for example, I do a lot of work for pushing back to Unreal Engine, so I got a lot of credits on that. That's basically it.
Thank you very much. Perfect stuff. So now that we've sort of got you all lined up here a little bit, it would be lovely to talk a little bit about the internships themselves, because presumably these roles and the individuals who step into these roles will be assisting you in some way, or you will have some sort of oversight, or you will have some sort of direct interaction with not just the intern, but the work that they do. So I'd love to go through those. So each of you, I believe, is sort of more or less, there's 5 internships and there's 4 of you, so I'm aware that someone's going to double up, but I'll let you tell me. So we've got 5 internships. I'll read them out. I've got technical animator, gameplay engineer, rendering engineer, software engineer, and 3D marketing artist. So what I'll do is I'll just pick a person. I'll come back around starting with Keith, and if you could just say which of those internships are kind of under your umbrella, or which one you'd like to talk about at the very least, and then just tell us a little bit about what that internship is, you know, what the expectations of that role are, and maybe just a tidbit of advice as well of just like, you know, what the expectations are in terms of when you're looking through people in that, what are you looking out for? What do you want applicants to kind of have going into that role? So Keith, you're up.
Okay, that's a lot of information. So yes, I am looking after the new rendering intern, whoever that will be. And as I said, I was our last rendering intern back in 2015. So there's some, I see some kind of poetry there where the previous intern is going to be the manager of the successive intern for rendering. But yes, we've never actually had a rendering intern since me. So it's hard to say what we expect since everything has changed in such a large amount of time. But I can tell you what I got up to as an intern. So types of things I got up to would be working with our lovely art team, environment art, and VFX mainly for me. A good example of what I did as an intern, if you're familiar with Sea of Thieves, we have lots of areas of our sea that are calmer than others, such as around islands. That was me. That was intern Keith 10 years ago. And what you're expected to do in those, like whenever you're making these lovely things for the artists, is just liaise with the art team, see what they want, see what the workflow could be. And then you go back and you chat with your team and you see what can actually be done, what is feasible, and you come up with a solution. And then you continue to work with the art team to sort through any problems that come up. You typically will write some tests for stuff, some performance testing. Yeah, that sort of thing. And because we're a central team, the rendering team, you will typically be working on all of our projects. So it won't just be Sea of Thieves. It won't just be Everwild. Could be anything. So one of the questions I think was, what were you looking for? Well, one of the main things we're looking for is having some kind of understanding of modern graphics APIs. So if you've got if you've got a module where you're learning D312 or Vulkan or OpenGL or something like that, definitely show that off in your application, in your portfolio. Have a GitHub link or have a demo on YouTube of what you've done, that sort of thing. And that's the type of stuff we're looking forward to.
Nice.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think that covers it wonderfully, and I've got there's more questions later that I'm sure can cover any bases that we haven't talked about there. But thank you, Keith. A really wonderful roundup there. Now, V, you're here to talk about one of the internships in particular, yeah?
Yeah, so I am actually helping to represent the art team today. So unfortunately, our one of our art leads couldn't be with us tonight. So I thought I would come along, ask him a bunch of questions, and get as much information as I can. So I'm here to help represent the 3D marketing artist role. So this is a role that is going to be really learning to work effectively as part of the bigger team within marketing. So we have our community team, and they work on social channels on all of our campaigns, really sort of promoting the game. But anything, right? Like anything that really shows off Sea of Thieves. If you think of like the emails that you get for Sea of Thieves, the specific artwork within that created within Unreal, that's what this role is all about. It's all about being in Unreal, posing figures, making things look good, like being and really nifty with lighting. I know of people that have worked as photographers in the past that also do this role. And that's really what it's all about. It's spending a lot of time in Unreal to understand how we create those public-facing images that represent Rare and our projects. So you make us look good. That's your job, right? Like you make really funky images if you have good knowledge of composition, of sort of how to pose things, how to, foreground, backgrounds, the magic ratio. That's I think the wrong phrase for it, but the spiral. If you have that knowledge, if you know how to put a good image together, this role could be for you.
Nice, thank you very much. And then, do you have any idea as well of like if someone was coming at you with an application, what are some ways that they could really communicate that they could totally do this role?
So I have some notes on this, so I'll read Paul's notes so I'm getting that right. So
Please
we
do.
look for great scene composition and lighting, an understanding of Unreal, 3D software such as Maya, and 2D software such as Photoshop. Work that aligns to the type of stylized visuals that Rare is known for, but as long as the talent is showing through, that's what's important. So your portfolio is absolutely key here. I actually had a conversation with Paul the other day, and he said, really, I'm not looking at what your sort of experiences and your, what modules you may have done. What I'm looking at is your portfolio. So you want your absolute best work on there. You don't want people to have to dig for your best work. You want it to click a link, boom, it's there in your face.
Fantastic. Everyone's also jumping on board to say the thing you were looking for was the golden ratio or the Fibonacci sequence.
That's it, not the magic ratio.
which I know through an anime or manga, which someone has mentioned in chat, but I'm not going to go off the rails with that. I'm going to go around to Chris now. Chris, you've got some internships to talk about. Let's hear about them.
Yep. So I'm mostly leading the hiring process for the gameplay engineering role. So in terms of like what you would be doing, we tend to get you straight in after a bit of onboarding. We tend to get you straight in with the feature team. You'll be working alongside a designer and probably another engineer or two, and kind of work to kind of understand how to break down that task into that work into tasks, take a few of those tasks and kind of iterate on them, go back and forth between yourself and the designer, because at the end of the day, the point of this is to create things that are fun to play. So we might go through the process of prototyping and iterating on these features for a period of time, and then once that's kind of a bit more locked in, you'll be expected to, of course, obviously you'll be implementing this, so you'll be coding. We're working on Real C++, so that's what you'll be doing day to day. And then kind of as we're kind of coming into the production side of that, or you'll need to make sure that feature is tested, and you work with QA on how we could keep that feature stable to release. And interns have worked across the board on all of the timeline between prototype and production, doing things like writing AI behaviors, new weapons and tools. If someone had a particular passion for accessibility, so was able to do some accessibility work on Sea of Thieves. I think more recently someone worked on the Secret Monkey Island release. So yeah, basically a wide range, just and your personal interests could also maybe help kind of form where you might want to work if it links with the project that we've got going at the time.
Very exciting. And then if someone were a prospective applicant, is there things that you're really on the lookout for, things that will kind of, bring a little spark to your eye if you saw it?
Yeah, so of course, I think any form of portfolio and definitely code examples would be brilliant. And then when we see the portfolio as well, it's kind of important to make sure that we clearly see like what is it that you've actually contributed, and maybe a bit of your thinking behind the projects that you've done and how you went about implementing that. Because it's very easy to see lots of beautiful things, but actually getting a bit of an insight of how you did it will really tell us a lot more about you as an engineer. And also just very quickly, just any kind of work that you've done to show kind of team working skills, because there's a lot of communication. You're working with a lot of departments between design, you might be working with animation, might be working with concept, yeah, kind of anything that kind of shows some of your more transferable extracurricular skills, and stuff like that outside of just coding would be great.
Absolutely gorgeous stuff. Thanks for going into all of that with me. Simon, you're up next. And I've got a good idea of what your internship is. Is it going to be the technical animation internship by any chance?
Yes, yeah, that's right. So we at Rare, we've not had a technical animation intern for a couple of years now. And I did just want to sort of talk a little bit around it because unfortunately, technical animation, it's a term which is used in a couple of different ways. So the first way is someone who can rig characters, and they're in programs like Maya and creating skeletons and controllers to help animators actually do their animating. And the other role is actually within engine, so taking those animations and making them work, making characters move, and sort of implementing state machines and things like that. And that second one is the role that we're looking for. So we're looking for someone who will be involved in actually making characters come alive. So like I say, getting involved in setting up state machines, so transitioning between different animations and how they work, as well as sort of helping animators prototype within engine as well. It's great doing prototypes in visual programs like Maya, but at the same time, it's great being able to do that in engine and seeing how that would all come together. Tech anim is really good for sort of bridging that gap and helping animators get to use the tools in a way that can show them how it's going to look eventually. So, we're looking for people who can solve problems essentially. We have characters that can have very complex state machines because we're going for a certain fidelity of character, and we want to be able to have someone that can start working on those systems and figure out how to implement new bits into them without affecting how everything else looks, and getting it as close as they can to how the animators want it to look as well. So it's quite a collaborative role. So working with animation engineers, AI and tech art and other departments like that. And so as well, with like, if you're a good problem solver and we have an animation that's not quite looking correct, or it's not playing when we want it to play, being able to work your way through all that, those state machines and sort of animation graphs and things like that, and figuring out where it's coming from, that's the sort of skill that we're looking for, that you can take something and figure out where it's coming from.
Nice. Yeah, so definitely a lot to talk about in that role and quite a lot to unpack. But just at a glance, is there what could a portfolio, what could an applicant do to kind of give you some confidence that this is the right role for them, and also that they understand that what they're applying for as well? Just some sort of like bullet point hints or tips.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend having a show reel. We work in, well, it's an animation role, so we want to see things moving. We want to see videos of characters moving about. As well as that, I'm really interested in seeing actually how it's functioning behind that. So as well as showing how well your character's moving about, we also want to be able to see how you've constructed that. So that can be little videos of how the state machine functions, or even having it debugging alongside your character as it's moving around, or even just having like an additional bit of documentation on how you've gone about setting that up. We're really interested in sort of knowing that you understand how things are functioning and how they link together. There's a lot of information out there that you can probably build something and get by without fully understanding it. We want to make sure that the work that you've implemented, you do have a good grasp on what you've done. So being able to show like what's behind the scenes as well as in front is a great thing for us.
Wonderful stuff. Hopefully, anyone who had questions about that in the audience, hopefully that information really helps to dispel a lot of the mysteries and a lot of anything that you didn't know. But again, if you feel that there's something missing, Discord links in the description. Jump in as soon as we finish up here. We'll all go into the Discord and we'll take some time to answer some questions. Now, we've only got a small amount of time until we hit that 7 o'clock mark. So I kind of want to just do a quick speed round with everyone. And with this speed round, I'd like you to think about if you've ever been in the room where people are applying and you are having to reject candidates, or you've seen people not quite make the mark, either in your studio or you're seeing it in the games industry generally, so it doesn't have to be for this internship. I'd like to just understand, what are the common pitfalls that people are sort of experiencing when it comes to applying for their first role, common mistakes, things like that. And I'd like to talk about that because that can give everyone a chance to maybe rectify those gaps in their knowledge before they put in their applications. So just the things that people tend to fail on. And again, just sort of bullet point, quick fire answers, just things that really come to mind that you think are quite obvious. I'm going to come back to you, Simon, as you're right next to me, when you've got something.
I think the biggest one for Tech Anim is that distinction between the two different types of roles. Like, just make sure you're clear on which your the one that the role is for. So for us, it's that engine side thing, because people can get disheartened when they're applying for a role that's actually not exactly what we're looking for. So just make sure you're sort of clear on that side of it.
Fantastic. I'll go around to you now, Chris.
Yeah, I've probably got two quick things. One is to kind of make sure you show that you're passionate about the role you're applying for, and rare as well. I think the worst, we review a lot of applications. The worst thing is to know that you've just received a generic catch-all cover letter, very generic CV. And then I think, just to show where you've gone outside of the box of either your normal university study or outside of some, and show us like what you've learned extra, like why that interested you, because that people's uniqueness and stuff that they can bring to the role is like what we're looking for. We're looking for everyone to bring their unique kind of capabilities, interests, and expertise that we might be missing in some way. So really showing that off can help you like differentiate yourself, because it's really hard. It's very easy to get kind of lost in the applications.
Thank you very much, Chris. Over to you, V.
So anything that makes your application unique, as Chris has already mentioned, self-selecting your best work to put into your portfolio. Leave out any earlier, less successful pieces just to make your portfolio look more bulky. Go for those really good pieces. Having work that is relevant to the role. Being applied for is not always possible, but it can help. Having some technical art knowledge to complement your artistic skill. It's not essential for any of the current roles, but it does give candidates a bit of an upper hand. So if you do dabble in more than technical side, make sure you include that in your application. I think for me, I did used to work as a recruiter before. don't make people work to get to the information. Like, just put it, the role that you want and why you're good for it, give that us straight away. Don't make us work for it. Don't do it.
Yeah, nice. Wonderful stuff. And then Keith, we're going to come round to you.
Yes, I'll reiterate what Chris was saying. Cover letters are super, super, super important. That cannot be stressed enough. It is the best way to express yourself to us and show us what you're interested in and why you're interested in applying for Rare. To add on to that, though, something that really stands out in application for me, at least, is some mention of self-reflection. So, like, if you've got a bit of work, but you're talking about it and saying where you could do better, what you could do later, that's really, really good to see, because you're interns at the end of the day. We know you're not experts, so what we're looking for is potential. The whole point of this is you are going to be a potentially great engineer. That's the whole point. So if we can see that potential, this attitude towards learning and growth, that is something that we keenly look for. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much. We've passed. We've gone beyond 7 p.m. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank each and every person on the screen. V, Simon, Chris, Keith, thank you so much for joining us on this live stream today. What I'll do is I'll give you all some peace by I'm going to gently remove you all from the screen in just a moment. So if you want to do any waves or say goodbye, then please do so. And then what I can do is I can say goodbye to our audience. Just you and me now, just one-to-one. So we've gone past 7 o'clock. That means we're basically here. We're at the end of the We're Hiring event. But when I say that, there's an asterisk. We're at the end of the live streamed element of the We're Hiring event. That's as much as you're going to hear in this YouTube sort of context within these four walls. But there is still information to be gleaned. There is still conversations to be had in the Into Games Discord. So I know I go on about it like a broken record, but it really is important. You can head to intergames.org/Discord. You can click the link in the down below. I'm sure you can do some clever Googling or something like that. Find our Discord server if you're not already a member. And that Discord server, it exists in perpetuity. It's all about giving advice for the UK games industry. It's all about helping people get into the industry and generally pointing to other resources and communities as well. But for the next 30 minutes at least, it is dedicated to this subject, the Rare We're Hiring event. There are dedicated channels where you can ask the questions that you were asking in the YouTube chat. There are dedicated spaces where you can just talk about the internships, and there are links to all the internships on there as well, so that if you don't quite remember where you were supposed to apply, by joining the Discord, you've got them right there in front of you as part of the conversation. That is all from us today. It's all from me today. I will play some little sort of going sort of outro footage as we finish up here. But thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've learned something really valuable. Thank you again to all of our guests from Rare for sharing so much incredible knowledge. You're all the best. Keep an eye on what Intergames is up to if this is your first time seeing us, as we do all sorts over here on the YouTube and in the Discord, all sorts of events and whatnot. That said, that's all from me, Jonas. Thank you so much for joining us one more time. Have a great night. Chat to some of you in the Discord in a moment. Bye-bye.